Hey, do your people even celebrate Thanksgiving?
We did. Once.
Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland, 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 oh, Dixieland. Praise God, rally, oh, this is the time.
I refuse to eat a white man's white meat. I refuse to eat a white man's white meat.
Fucking A.
All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning back in to Dixieland of the Proletariat. We're here to talk about Southern working class history through a leftist perspective. Make sure you like us on social media at Dixieland of the Proletariat or Dixie Prole. And if you want to give your wages to a bunch of rednecks and subscribe to our Patreon page at patreon.com/DixieProle. Got a lot of cool stuff, including original artwork by Brother William and random hillbilly shit by Tyler. Already giving out some CDs and some stickers. The podcast is still brought to you by Newport 100s in a Box, Camel Silvers. Tyler, what are you drinking today?
Sugar-free Red Bull and Dasani water.
Absolutely disgusting. And today we have a special guest with us, our good friend Blake Robinson. What are you drinking today, buddy?
Robbins, homie.
Whatever your name is. You look like the front man from Lynyrd Skynyrd, and you're wearing a Lynyrd Skynyrd shirt.
I'm sponsored. You didn't know that?
That is true. Was that Ronnie Van Zant?
I'm the illegitimate cousin. Well, there's Donnie, Johnny, and Ronnie. I'm Lonnie Van Zant.
So what are you drinking? Was that Bud Light?
Bud Light Platinum because I couldn't afford craft beer today.
There we go. Shout out to our new Patreon subscribers, Drake, Jim, Joseph, Parker, and Iru. That was the name on Patreon. So thanks, guys, for subscribing. Thanks, y'all, for subscribing to our
Pretty sure
Patreon
you fucked that
page.
last one up.
I think I probably did.
Did you say the Drake?
If it's Drake, I'm giving him the money back because that dude is fucking weird.
From the 6?
No. Oh my God. So anyway, y'all. So we've made it to episode 3. How was everyone's Thanksgiving?
Good after that Iron Bowl.
Oh,
War Eagle.
God,
War damn.
okay, you all three are Auburn fans? I'm the only Bama fan here?
We're going to have to soften the blow for these Bama listeners.
Oh my God. It was horrible.
And weather, it's 45 to 48 degrees outside today.
Oh my God. That is Alabama weather. So anyway, Will, you kick us off because, being in the South and being of any type of center-left perspective, we're going to have to deal with our reactionary family over Thanksgiving. So I bet we all have cringeworthy stories. So
my family's pretty
Will.
chill. We do a kind of a half joking thing where we go around and say what we're thankful for, and we all kind of crack on each other and stuff. So I said I was thankful for the troops in Afghanistan fighting for our freedom on both sides. And my dad sincerely thanked me for thanking the troops. He thought that I was being for real. But other than that, they're all pretty cool.
Oh, God. So
Tyler, what shirt are you wearing today?
I'm wearing a Death Row Record
It's
shirt.
beautiful, man. In the Canadian tuxedo.
Free shoes.
Tuxedo.
I'm wearing it for Kamala Khan.
Kamala dropped out.
Fuck the police.
Fuck the police.
Officer down.
Nah.
Hey.
Buttigieg is next.
Goodbye.
Buttigieg.
So I went to Thanksgiving at we'll call it extended family, and someone asked what the Watergate salad was, and that went into a discussion over the Watergate conflict.
Oh, I thought pistachios.
Yeah, I mean, and then went to this 15-minute long segment of how Nixon didn't know what was going on and he did nothing wrong. And in the grand scheme of things, nobody did anything wrong.
That's that classic track.
That is I'm not a crook.
Seeing as I wasn't around my actual family, I bit my tongue, played nice.
Where are the tapes?
But
Were they recording me? I didn't know.
You know the Jews.
Oh, yeah, he was an anti-Semitic shit.
God, yeah.
But the person who said it was a Mormon. So,
Oh, okay.
Oh,
This is
not
a-
not a Mormon.
This is
no,
a
no,
Mormon bashing podcast. I forgot about that.
No, not a Mormon, but like something like either diet Mormon or diet Amish, one of the two. Like some weird fucking Pentecostal subgenre.
Snakes. I've never. I wanted, that's the one Southern thing I've never experienced is snake handling.
This is an
Oh, bro.
Arkansas thing.
That's like Appalachia, right? Those them folks.
There is a really weird church in my hometown that does like handling with different, like they do. There's one church that's snake handling, and there's one church that's primitive, and they like do the really strange like talking in tongues, and everybody gets up at one time and like starts like mumbling and stuff, and like nobody knows what to do. And I've never been to it, but I had friends that were in it when I was a kid.
The look on y'all's face when he said primitive was perfect, because I think we all thought the same. Like anytime someone talks about like primitive Protestantism in the South, you're like, oh, here come the white hoods.
Sounds to me
Jury's
like a
out.
good
I'm not
old-fashioned
sure.
possession.
Oh my god.
What's wrong with that boy? He ain't speaking English.
That boy ain't right.
That boy, right?
Something wrong with him.
Oh my god. How could you say that the fucking Watergate thing, like Nixon did nothing wrong? It's insane. That paranoid fuck. Apparently, he used to get drunk off wine. And he couldn't hold his liquor, and he would order like tactical nuke strikes in the Soviet Union. And people had to be like, "Oh, he's just drunk again. Just don't worry about it."
I thought it was bad that I drunk waiter things.
You imagine that was the forerunner. Tactical nukes in the Soviet Union was the forerunner to drunken waiter and drunken Amazon spending. Oh my god! All right, Blake, do you have a funny Thanksgiving? Any funny Thanksgiving stories?
You know, man,
Your first Thanksgiving as a married man.
It was super, super chill. Usually holidays with my family are everywhere because I have I have 3 parts of the family to go see because my parents are divorced on both sides.
Gotcha.
They both divorced each other. Whatever. Usually it's super crazy, but me and Betsy just, we went and ate with her parents in Pike Road and then just went down to Walker County for a couple days, hit out, drank moonshine and stuff. It wasn't super crazy.
Hell yeah.
That's good you had moonshine. So I had Thanksgiving at my dad's house because my mom's family's all around the U.S., but my dad's all local. So we went to Wetumpka. And my dad built this house in our land out there. We call it a Quonset hut because basically it's like this tin, looks like a barn almost, like a tin barn. And I have to say at the inside it's pretty nice. Like him and my uncle were able to heat treat the wood and bend it so it's actually like curved wood. It's actually really nice. But other than that, I had to deal with the reactionary bullshit of Trump supporting family members. And then my estranged non-blood aunt, who's the quote unquote I'm with her still liberal, had the quote of the evening, where it was I just cracked a okay boomer joke. I just said it out loud. My cousins and I were ranting about something. I was like, okay boomer. She puts her hand on my shoulders like, you know what I say when I hear okay boomer? I say, aren't you a special little snowflake? I'm like, so you're just basically stealing reactionary Republican bullshit and twisting it and thinking you're such a clever person. And I was like, I really fucking hate liberals.
She had prepped for it. She had that one cocked and ready to go.
She probably saw it on Facebook with a picture of Snoopy behind the words on it.
Yeah. Woodstock.
Oh my god. So anyway, y'all, today, well, first, actually, Blake is another local musician. So him and I are both local musicians. So we want to talk about, Blake's going to talk about a bit with the bands he plays in, some of the music he's involved with. Because bassists are hard to come by, and he's a pretty good bassist, so he's been picked up by a few acts. So.
Half-assed, but we're in demand.
That is true.
There's
true.
3 of us.
And then there's one drummer, there's just Moni gets passed around as a drummer.
It's super great to play with people that because we just get to pick up shows all the time. But I'm in a couple bands that I play with regularly. The Dalton Bush Band, we're playing down in Rayburn, Alabama on Saturday, and then in Clanton on Friday.
Hell yeah.
I do a couple shows and some runs with a group named BB Palmer. Find them on Spotify. They're super awesome. And then I recently just picked up a gig with a girl named Taylor Honeycutt out of Birmingham. And we're playing Nashville the 17th, and then a Mississippi and a Georgia show coming up right after that at the end of December.
Hell yeah.
Where y'all playing at in Nashville?
I can't remember the name of it. It's it's the oldest bar in Nashville is what they advertise it as. It's called Clear Springs or something like that. It's a pretty cool spot apparently.
I'm going to the Ryman in February.
Super sweet. Who you seeing?
Tyler Childers.
Is that
a part of the good looking tour or whatever?
No, that's actually he's got it's his residency. He's doing a
Nice.
4-night residency at the Ryman.
Oh wow.
You made it when.
Now, you didn't run with BB up to Chicago, right?
Sure enough.
How did that go? What was their reaction to country music? I mean, real country music.
It is so wild how much people support country music out of the South.
Really?
Well, John Prine came from Chicago. That's what. That
Oh,
was
okay,
yeah.
cool.
Okay. We started off in North Carolina. We did 2 dates there. They loved it, but that was not unexpected.
Yeah.
The next night we did Duke's Indy in Indianapolis, Indiana, and in a very short amount of time, it's become a legendary country bar. A bunch of big acts play there. A bunch of old guys play there from the outlaw days and stuff like that. It was awesome. There were people like line dancing that had like Indiana accents. So that was weird, but Indiana's still rural enough that I'm like, it's believable that they would be into country music. So the next 2 shows were in Yorkville and then Chicago.
Yeah.
Yorkville was insane. They have the owner of that bar actually does a music festival called the Summer Solstice. Sturgill played there when he was like the bottom name on the bill, and it was in like 2008 or something like that. It was, yeah.
Damn.
That's when he was still with Sunday Valley, wasn't it?
Well, I think it was actually before Sunday Valley even, because like it just said Sturgill Simpson, but it was like early. So they actually booked us for that music festival right after that show. So we're going up there in June. We're doing the same Chicago run plus probably a couple dates after that.
You don't need an opener?
Man,
Don't take Nelson.
the great thing is that Taylor travels with us, and so show. So we play hour and a half, but if there's a bar where they don't have an opener and they kind of want 3 or 4 hours, she actually opens up for us with her original set, and it's super sweet, man.
Hell yeah.
She is probably one of the most talented musicians or singers I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
And I try to tell her that. But so then in Chicago, we played a place called the Empty Bottle for a thing called the Honky Tonk Revival or something like, I can't remember. But these people came out there in like nudie suits, and the girls were like hair pinned back with like cowboy hats and stuff like that, and like full length skirts.
So basically, just like picked up like rural Alabama and like plopped in Chicago.
Not even, dude. It was like
Mississippi,
Texas in like the 40s or something.
Oh wow!
Dude. It was so strange. Every person they were like, we're teaching dance lessons right before the show, and then we're gonna be dancing while y'all play.
So it was a hoedown.
These people were like organized dancing, like 2-steps and stuff, and it was so wild.
I found the definitions
between hootenanny and hoedown.
Hootenanny and hoedown apparently is organized line dancing.
Okay.
Is a hoedown. Hootenanny is like more what we do, like getting together, talking, playing music, picking and grinning. And
These
stuff
people
like that.
were all dancing in the same style, with the beat of the song, but they were, it was pandemonium. Like there were like 15 groups dancing in like a 50 by 50 section. They were just twining in and out of each other. It was so crazy to see how they like have adopted that scene, and like, I mean, it's thriving there. That place was packed. Right after us was an amazing Western swing band from California, and I didn't even know Western swing was still being like. It was. They were called the Carolyn Sills Combo. Look them up too. They're amazing as well.
What was that, Carolyn Sills?
Carolyn Sills Combo.
Yeah, a lot of people don't really think about California and country together, but you got to remember like Bakersfield.
And
It's like such a huge.
But that's the thing, man. It's their music was pre-country. It was straight up Western swing, like jazz.
Oh, like Bob Wills and Texas
like
Playboys.
Steel solos. The guy was playing an ES 125, like hollow body one pickup, electric guitar. I mean, it was absolutely wild.
It's now officially a music podcast.
Did you say you were doing Waverly, the 280 Boogie?
No. So I was talking about a band that I'm excited. I've been there several times to see several bands, but I've been looking at their schedule to see who's coming up. I'm just excited for the new year up there. That's a really cool place to go and hang out.
Hell yeah. Well, everyone check out those bands because they're really good. The ones that I've heard, and if Blake says they're good, then they're good. So the reason Blake's here today with us is because I got off my shift last brunch, and he was having brunch with his wife, and we just started talking. We talked about the podcast, and he mentioned an event that happened in Alabama that I honestly had no idea had went on, and it's still going on. It's been going on since the 30s, at least, if not the 20s, like even before then. So basically what we're going to be talking about today is our show sponsor, Monsanto, apparently poisoned the entire town of Anniston, Alabama. So Blake has been researching this since high school, so it's close to his hometown, and it's something near and dear to his heart. So he is going to inform us and inform our live studio audience and those at home about this event. He has a bunch of notes on his computer He informed me that he does not know how to read, and he just thinks.
I type it all in wingdings. I just really fly by the seat of my pants.
And then I have some notes, and we've read some stuff. And Tyler, as an active farmer, has probably some opinions on Monsanto as well.
My notes is only 5 words.
Fuck Monsanto.
Get nervous.
Oh my god. So Blake, take it from here. I mean, I have some notes. We'll probably ask some questions, but from here on out, you have the floor, buddy.
No pressure.
No pressure.
So I'm no expert in any field. I'll start off by saying that I'm not educated on organic chemistry or anything like that. But when I was in high school, it might have even been it was like 9th grade year, and our teacher in AP wanted us to write about a topic, and she wanted it to be government related. She wanted it to be analytical, and so I started looking into things that I could write about because I was just kind of getting into conspiracies as a whole. Everybody goes through a time period when they're in their teen years where they're like, oh, the government's always out to get me.
Aliens, Area 51,
yeah.
woo!
So
The magic bullet.
The first one that I ever truly got acquainted with was the situation with Monsanto and PCB exposure in Anniston, Alabama. The crazy thing about this conspiracy is that it's not a conspiracy theory. It actually happened, and there's verifiable, evidence to it happening. Basically, there's a town of 24,000 people. There's a corporation there. All these people pretty much work for this company, and they have invented, the year's 1929, they have invented a new chemical that's going to be used as an insulation in transformers. It's going to be used in paint. It's going to be used in all kind of industrial products. It's going to be a chemical that cheapens production and increases efficiency. These are called PCBs. And PCBs...
Panama City Beach.
Woo! No, man.
So PCB stands for polychlorinated biphenyl. And so basically this chemical was an industrial chemical.
Tyler actually makes that in a still down by the river.
No, that's
in a
meth.
van down by the river.
That's meth. I make meth.
I need to get up with you after this.
Your hog's on, man.
Got some connections in Walker CO.
Hey.
No, but so basically they make this stuff. It's supposed to be revolutionary. But it's the 20s. And, you can say they didn't know or whatever, they might not have. But they're dumping the waste from this in a creek called Snow Creek, and they're also burying it in a hillside in Anniston. Fast forward about 9 years from then. And 9 years from then, Monsanto has a scientist that is working, I guess, to see what they're doing to this creek by dumping all this trash in it. And it could have been even to cover their butts later. In case something was wrong. This scientist basically come back to them and said, hey, I've submerged fish in this water, and they belly up floated within a couple minutes.
I watched the Frontline documentary on this. Mm-hmm. My mom actually knew about it, so my mom's like, they did a Frontline documentary on it. So I watched that. That was in 1966.
66.
Yeah, so they went to Snow Creek, and he said, it was so bad that healthy fish would belly up in a few minutes.
Right. So 38 is when, let me see here. 38 is when they started documenting that maybe this wasn't the best thing.
Yeah.
They had people taking samples that were saying that there was a high concentration of this chemical in the water, that it was staying in the water, that it was probably leaching into the ground. In 1938 was when the guy pulled the fish out of the water, and it was a bass, and it was totally deformed. The head was swollen up, and basically 38 is when. Am I wrong there?
So 38 is
It's the mice.
38 is when internal documents show that Monsanto knew that PCB caused liver cancer. 1993 is the bass.
Is the fish, okay. So basically, at that point in 1938, they started documenting this apparent pollution. They started raising concern about it. Apparently, they were not told to change the course of what they were doing. And so we're going to fast forward a little bit. Now that they know about the carcinogens active in PCB, they know that kind of a normal or healthy rate of PCBs in a human is about 1.5 parts per billion. There are reported cases in Anniston where people have almost 100 times that. They have, 77, 80, 100, and all of these people are getting cancer. Well, so they start around the time of the 60s, 70s, Monsanto starts buying up land around, I guess, their factory and around the creek where they were dumping this stuff and where they were burying this stuff. They were bulldozing houses and gating up the areas and just secluding them off from everyone. In the mid-60s, 70s, they started saying, don't fish in these waters, don't swim in these waters. And now, if you go to Anniston, there are certain parts of the town where they say not to even kick up dirt, not to smoke outside.
Don't cut your grass.
Don't cut your grass.
So they were saying
don't eat food outside.
This shit's like wild. Like fucking. So in '66, this is when they said that about the fish going belly up. In the '50s, Monsanto was telling its workers to like wear special equipment while handling PCBs. So like they know that this shit is bad. And then in '69, apparently they form a committee to try and cover it up, and they say they knew that one day PCBs would be a global environmental contaminant.
Right. A global environmental contaminant. At that point, they know that what they invented is a risk to society at large.
Oh yeah, if you go around in some the more impoverished areas, you can still see like warning labels on the fucking power equipment for this PCBs. And I don't know if it's directly related or whatnot, but Chris Knight has a song called "Dirt" that pretty much sums up the whole situation. Okay. It says they say that they don't pollute. The shit that they put in the rivers is perfectly safe. I kind of think that's a little aimed towards Monsanto, but
they just got it. They no one told the public. And
there wasn't even any regulation until 78.
Yeah, and then it wasn't, and Alabama didn't say anything till the 90s.
But in 79, the production of PCBs was totally banned. Halted, and so at that point, I guess, it's hard to tell when you're in a crisis, not to be the devil's advocate, but they don't know at that point what the damage they've done is. But they started learning it, and they didn't do anything about it. Yeah. So, basically right here, in 79, it was banned, and they started working to, like you said, to cover up what the damage was done. Fast forward to the 90s. Let's see. A lawyer who was a corporate lawyer at the time, he takes on a case against Monsanto, and so the EPA was made aware of this, and the EPA basically tells Monsanto to figure it out. They're like, we'll give you 2 years to figure it out. The lawsuits are starting to mount against them in the 70s on to the 90s. The EPA turns a blind eye to it, and in interviews, the guys now are like, well, I can't control what they did back then, but they also don't have any kind of solutions for fixing the problem. And so that's when Donald Stewart, who was a former senator of Alabama, and he's a lawyer, he come on and built a class action lawsuit against Monsanto. And they've started winning, like at that time they started winning, preliminary hearings and things like that, and getting, small victories towards the lawsuit. But then Monsanto builds a company. They build a subsidiary company called Solutia.
Solutia, yeah. In 1997.
When you look at the heads of Solutia, they basically took low-level, management, not low-level in the sense of like actual, they took what would be right under maybe a vice president, and they promoted them super high. They said, hey, we're going to form this new subsidiary company. You're going to take it over, wink, wink, nod, nod. And these guys took it over. Well, so the jury came to a decision in 1993 against Monsanto for the first time. And this found Monsanto guilty of negligence, nuisance, suppression of the truth, among other things. And the actual quote from the jury finding was, they were guilty of behavior so outrageous in character and extra in degree as to go beyond all possible bounds of decency, so as to be regarded as atrocious and utterly intolerable in civilized society.
Shit.
That sounds like something you're reading off
Yeah.
before, like somebody's
was-
getting convicted for a war
No,
crime.
I had that. Was that 97? Because I had the
right.
So the in the trial was because I had the so the trial they said took 3 it was a 6-week trial and Monsanto was found guilty and then that quote etc. And so that solution that's like Solution Company was set up to basically take the blame. And there's John Hunter is the CEO and like when they're interviewing him for Frontline. He's just like a total loser. He's like,
He was like, I don't know where they would come to that conclusion. I don't know. And the interviewer's like, well, I mean, he said, well, I think actions speak louder than the words, and they're not letting us. Their legal teams are advising them not to allow us to come sample their soil.
Yeah.
It flashes over to the lawyer, and he's like, well, because they're gonna, like they've proven time and time again, they're gonna use these results. They're gonna hide them. They're gonna show what results they want to show.
Yeah, Monsanto was only letting like the people that they want to test the soil when everyone knew they were just gonna fucking lie.
Right.
Yeah. Do you know what their contribution to the Vietnam War was?
It was Agent Orange, right?
Yeah.
And what was the other one we were talking about?
Agent Blue. It's
Yeah.
the arsenic-based rice poison.
Yeah.
I read this book, The Invention of Ecocide. This all about Agent Orange and the development and the use and how fucking evil that shit was. The Agent Blue pissed me off worse because, I mean, that's a war crime, undeniably, to destroy people's food
Cutting
sources.
off food of anybody,
Yeah.
normal or civilian.
Yeah.
Now, do you know what they contributed to World War II?
Napalm? No.
No. Neuron inhibitors for the nukes that were dropped on Hiroshima.
Oh
Word.
shit! Damn.
Yep.
So your everyday Johnson and Johnson, like, you know,
Yeah.
we care for you.
And do you know how strict their seed rules are?
Oh yeah, I heard
Yeah.
That
about
if
this,
if
yeah.
the wind, you can't share their seeds. If a wind blows one seed off your farm to another person's farm, they can sue you.
yeah,
There
I'm
was a
just reading
lawsuit where a
articles and stuff
farmer,
like
he got sued because the wind carried their seeds over to his
Yep.
land, and he got sued for growing proprietary
Yeah.
vegetables or plants. Yeah. So, you know, Monsanto, your everyday we care about you company.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And they were just recently bought out by Bayer.
I thought they merged with.
Well, yeah. It was
Oh,
a
they
$66 billion merge.
Jesus.
The makers of, yeah.
Of Zyklon B, right?
What gets me is, you know, the recent Roundup
Yeah.
shit came out about
yeah,
Roundup,
yeah.
and I know people who are like currently like in a lawsuit trying to get money for fucking getting cancer from Roundup. Now they can legally give you cancer, then sell you the medication.
Holy shit! You're right.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Bring in Alex Jones.
They're putting chemicals in the water. Ah!
Somebody bring me some tinfoil.
Oh my god! But I think the craziest thing about all this was the same agency that we have to. Speaking of Nixon, the same agency that we have to try to protect us, like, knew about this shit. Like, the EPA knew since like the 70s that PCBs were bad, right? So in '87, the EPA drafts an order wanting Monsanto to determine the extent of the problem and fix it. And then, like Blake said, they give them 2 extra years to study the problem and find
And it's
a
a secret
solution.
deal. That's the
Yeah.
whole thing. This was not publicized. They came to them while all this was going on and said, "Hey, we're going to give you 2 years to figure it
And these
out."
bastards say, like, Monsanto still says that, oh, there's no link to any disease. Whereas, like, going back to what you were talking about earlier about the part. So, like, in Frontline's, like, interviewing, like, 5, like, there's, like, they had the thing where, like, the guy sits and there's, like, 5 people, like, sitting in front of him, like, hey, I'm so-and-so,
Yeah.
whatever, etc. So, apparently, the normal parts per billion, right, is 1.5 parts per billion. Anything over that is bad. These people being interviewed had anywhere from 22 to 77 parts per billion.
Mm-hmm.
They all had diseases ranging from diabetes to cancer.
Heart disease.
Yeah.
And they're saying that basically, compared to the average American city of its, rural kind of small, I mean, the cancer rates, I remember looking at it earlier and I didn't write it down, but they said it was like exponentially higher.
Yeah, they were saying, why are people in this small Alabama town, like, their cancer rates higher than the national average?
Kids are being born with learning disabilities.
Yeah.
They said that people are being born with 2 brains, which they actually think
Yes.
means that their hemisphere is split and
Yeah.
they're born
Yeah.
with right and left separate from each other. I mean,
No, they're actually born with, like, 2...
2 right and left
Yeah, it
hemispheres.
was fucking
Okay.
crazy.
Yeah,
So it was Dr. David Carpenter was leading the charge against him, and they were interviewing him, and he's just like, it's the legitimate like scientific community says that this PCBs cause cancer in animals, and there is definitive evidence that it causes cancer and disease in humans. And they're still fucking doing this shit.
Yeah, and when I asked, the guy said they asked him to define what probable carcinogen means, and he said, well, we can prove that it causes disease in animals, and we can obviously they can't do human testing, but they say from this we can almost uncertainly or certainly verify that it causes diseases in humans, and that there is no debate in the medical or political field whether or not this carcinogen
And the
causes
shit was
disease.
crazy. Where like the only reason the public like found out about this is what we're talking about with the bass. The fucking Alabama Soil Conservation Service employee pulled this largemouth bass out of this creek in 1993, and it was like so deformed, like covered in tumors, just disgusting. And he sent it off to be tested, and they were like, it's chock full of PCBs. Like, this is just riddled with cancer and disease because of this. And they said by then the PCBs had spread like 40 miles downstream, and then Alabama was warning folks not to eat the fish.
There's literally signs.
Yeah.
And Monsanto's buying up the land and fencing it off. so
Right,
people
fencing
shut
it
the
off,
fuck
separating
up.
people out. And so have y'all seen that movie that's about to come out? Who's the guy that plays the Hulk in the Avengers movies?
Oh,
Mark
Mark
Ruffalo.
Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's playing a corporate lawyer in West Virginia that a guy comes up to him and says that the coal mines are polluting the water the same way. I think it's called Blackwater or something like that.
Yeah, we talked
Yeah.
about them polluting we didn't talk about that movie. We
coal
talked about
ash.
the coal ash polluting our first episode.
That's
Blood
probably
Book.
what Chris and I were talking about because he's from Kentucky.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, Mark Ruffalo's a big left wing dude.
Yeah.
And so they the preview show the farmer walking up and he's like, I gotta show you something. I've had 40 cows die from drinking that water. And so he goes from being a corporate lawyer to being a lawyer, fighting the corporation that he worked for and all the death threats that he goes through and stuff like that. It's very similar, man, where these lawyers are coming out. It's almost like this guy was protected by having been a former politician. He was a senator, and so his leading this whole cause kind of
What was that guy's name?
let me see here. Donald Stewart. He was a senator, they said.
Yeah, I think he was in the Frontline documentary too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He filed suit on behalf of Anniston.
Right, yeah. And he started taking on individual clients who could testify in the class. I think it was class action. It was a giant.
Yeah, it
group
was a
versus-
massive class action lawsuit.
They said it was like $600 million to
Yeah.
for the families and $100
And
million,
$100 million
to clean
for
it.
cleanup, yeah.
But they apparently they since ran out of money.
But I mean, you can if you've been through Anniston, you can see a difference between that and other parts of Alabama.
Yeah.
Like it just things aren't right there.
Well, you can argue that and they say their classic reaction to this is that they didn't know at the time that what they were doing was bad, and you can agree with that to a certain extent. But
I mean,
why are you dumping your chemicals into this creek compared to any other one? You're kind of singling out.
I mean, we
Yeah.
we know why, because they talked about West Anniston is mostly poor and black, and that's
Right.
the
Yeah.
most contaminated site in the U.S. And I mean, they knew it was causing problems in 38. So it's invented in 29, and in 38 they're like, oh, this is getting bad, and then they just let's just dump it.
I wish I had researched. There is another town at the same time period that all this was going on.
It's in Ohio, right?
Illinois.
Illinois, okay.
And I would be interested to see if they were also
Is that
dumping their waste.
is that the town that Monsanto bought and renamed fucking Monsanto?
That's in Texas, I thought.
I think that's So Illinois is where there was another site they were producing PCBs, and I would be interested to see whether or not they were dumping their waste there as well,
Yeah, the front
or
line,
whether
yeah.
or not they were taking their waste down to Alabama to dump it.
Because the Frontline mentioned Anniston, they mentioned in Ohio.
I think it was Illinois. I'm pretty sure it was
all the same.
sometime in Illinois.
But somewhere up in the Rust Belt. I mean, that would be a really good thing to look at too. But no, the really fucked up thing about it is that the health clinic that I mentioned was opened and funded by Monsanto in 2003, and then it runs out of funds and closes in 2017. And there's still people are affected. That was the thing they brought up in the documentary, is that the PCBs are still in the air, they're still getting in people's bodies.
And the whole
Yeah.
time you're watching these documentaries where they're the companies allow their people to be interviewed to answer for these questions or whatever. It's almost like watching a debate where it's like these answers are so danced around, and you want to scream at the computer and just be like, "Why don't you just drop the political jargon? Why don't you drop the?" But they can't. They can't implicate themselves. But it's like. This guy was using legal jargon the same way as if you're like defending yourself in court. It's like, just explain. You can say that it was somebody else's fault. Just say it's somebody's fault instead of saying that y'all didn't do anything wrong. Knowing about something for like 60 or 70 years.
And they were giving the runaround like that fucking John Hunter, when he was interviewed, because the CEO of Solutia, he was just giving the same like runaround responses that like politicians give and anyone that's been, hey, this is evidence that you guys fucked up. And it's like, well, we don't know. We can't say for sure. We would never do that. We're taking these steps to clean this up, et cetera, et cetera. But we're really really, at the end of the day, like you expect like a corporation, a Monsanto, like these multi-billion-dollar international corporations to do fucked up shit. Like they're the boogeyman of capital, of international capital. Like everyone realizes that they're bad. The really fucked up thing was that the EPA knew about this and was in bed basically with Monsanto and is just letting them run roughshod. And this is before them really getting gutted, and now they're just completely gutted and they don't really do anything. But you'd think that like the EPA would have done something, but then you have to realize that like the way that capitalism is in America, really as capitalism is in general, is that because these corporations like fund a lot of these,
they control the regulatory arms.
Yeah, they control the regulatory arms because they're able to funnel in so much money into politicians' campaigns.
That's why ADEM is so useless. The Alabama Department of Environmental Management
you mentioned that
is complicit.
Big corporation and like politicians. It's just one big circle jerk where everybody's got their pants on, but somebody's hands in somebody's pockets. Fucking
it's fucking crazy.
Jacking them off.
Will, did in that BuzzFeed article, because it seemed a little more like modern because this is all
statistics were like post 2003.
Yeah, post 2003. Was there anything in that article that came up that when you skimmed over it?
Man, what I got into was related to the right next to the Monsanto plant was the Fort McClellan base up until 1999, where that was the bioweapons training center for the U.S. Army.
Wait, talk about that more.
And
Go ahead.
And a ton of soldiers are suing because they got sick, being exposed to whatever shit the Army thought they were handling. The base closed in 99, but people resisting paying people what they're due for the damage. And just a double whammy for Anniston.
They said the land is still bad. Like, you can't grow anything.
You know what the number one cash crop of Anniston is?
What?
Methamphetamines. No, for such a small town, like you'd be surprised how many fucking rehabs they have up there.
Really?
Yeah.
I found another quote. I'm looking for something about that Illinois town. I really want to find something, if it exists, on that town to see if it got the same kind of effects or whether or not. Because if they didn't, it's almost undeniable that they were bringing the stuff down to dump it in Alabama. But when asked in 1975, right before PCBs became illegal to produce, an internal memo from Monsanto that was released for discovery in the court case said we cannot afford to lose $1.
Twisted.
I mean, they said this lawyer said there were over a million documents documenting.
Oh yeah, they showed that in the document. Yeah, like, there's boxes and boxes of just decades of memos. Because like they said, they had that committee just set up to protect the corporation to try to cover this shit up because they knew it was going to be bad. Like, it's completely fucked, and like we hear about this shit all the time. Like these like billion-dollar international corporations like doing this shit. Like this is not the first time. You have the was it the Love Canal and the contaminated pools these kids were swimming in out in Texas, right? Right. And that was Aaron Brockovich and like that whole thing. Like you hear about these corporations just poisoning waters and food supplies and things, and it just continues to go on, and then compound that with like food deserts. It's amazing how anyone fucking finds anything healthy to eat anymore, or anything that's just like strictly
if you're in these
even edible
small towns in West Alabama, North Alabama, there's
nothing.
I just found another absolutely wild fact about Monsanto.
What?
The old plant where they produced the PCBs in Anniston still exists, and is used to make the active chemical in Tylenol.
We're all switching to Advil.
Straight up. I mean, this is.
Acetaminophen?
It literally says, I suppose, or it says making a chemical in Tylenol. So I
Oh,
don't,
shit.
Let's see. Officials at Solutia Incorporated, the name given to Monsanto's chemical operations after they were spun off into a separate company in 1997, very conveniently, acknowledged that Monsanto made mistakes, but they also said that for years PCBs were held for preventing fires and explosions in electrical equipment. Monsanto did stop making PCBs until 1977, 2 years before the ban. Wonder why. And the current scientific consensus that PCBs are harmful, especially to the environment, mass serious disputes over just how harmful they are to people. Today, the old plant off Monsanto Road here makes a chemical used in Tylenol. It has not reported a toxic release in 4 years.
Monsanto Road.
Monsanto Road in Anniston, Alabama.
Come
Jack.
back from Monsanto
Come on now.
Road.
The balls.
But my favorite thing in this is
It's
this.
a new Steve Earle song.
But they also said, hold on, that it said, it has not had a toxic release in 4 years. You know how it says, we haven't had an accident in 34 days? Haven't had toxic release in 4 years.
I've got
0 days.
I've got a
Cartoon
great
Springfield.
quote from Monsanto's global website. This is from MonsantoGlobal.com. This is their website. We have never hired Blackwater or its affiliates.
All right, homie.
Like most big companies, we monitor potential threats by keeping an eye on websites and news reports.
Blackwater's the mercenary.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Why is that on your...
Why would Monsanto need a fucking mercenary crew?
Do you know what?
Look,
They're
guys,
not even Blackwater
you're
anymore.
s-
They're G, and they didn't say anything about that.
Yeah.
No, I thought they're Academi.
Whatever.
Or the
They're
academic
constantly
Could you imagine
switching
it's like,
to avoid.
we're Blackwater hired by Monsanto, and you're illegally growing their seeds.
Got another one for you. Monsanto strictly forbids its employees to bribe government officials. Monsanto fully respects regulatory requirements everywhere it operates and deploys a broad program to prevent feeding corruption.
The next time he scrolls up, it's going to be like, yeah, we know we're a flaming shitball, but like,
No,
we swear to God, we're cool now.
I just want to make sure
Like,
people get the timeline. Like this, like we have to get the time. I want to make sure people get these timelines right real quick, because that EPA draft memo, right, that said that Monsanto had to determine what the problem was and fix it, et cetera, et cetera. 15 years from that date, nothing still happened, and they had given them 2 extra years past that. Literally, it would not have come about if that guy hadn't have pulled that bass out of Coca-Cola Creek in 1993.
I think the way it was told when I was reading it, and this is a long time ago that I was reading that part, but I think the way I remember it is this environmental scientist was actually just legit fishing. I don't even know if he was...
this dude was legit. He was, so
and he
Alabama
just so
told-
happened to be an environmental
Yeah.
scientist and
And,
was like,
yeah, 93.
oh, this ain't right.
Okay. Oh yeah, my bad. So,
Hey, boy, what's
from
wrong with this fish?
15 years from '87, like nothing happened.
Blinky
And
the
Alabama, the
three-headed.
public wouldn't have known unless that soil conservation is. He was just fishing.
Because all the rest of this research was internal.
Yeah.
All the rest of these scientific findings were like
Because-
Monsanto hired scientists saying,
Yeah.
hey guys, we're taking samples and these are kind of...
Because Monsanto knew the water was bad, and this guy obviously wouldn't have been fishing if he would, because he's actually with the soil conservation, so he would have been one of the people that knew. But Monsanto didn't tell anybody, so he's out there fishing, and he pulls his bass out that's like
Like
all
15
deformed.
eyeballs and, like,
and
3 tons.
it's growing a human arm, just flopping around.
No, I heard it described
Just
as
imagine a Fallout
grotesque
character.
growth on the head.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
disgusting. So that happened in '93. So that's the only reason why the public knows. Now, like I said, the EPA drafted the memo, so the EPA and Monsanto know this is bad, and the EPA, the secret deal from '87, is trying to say, "Hey, Monsanto, you handle this. We'll keep it hush hush." And Monsanto didn't do anything for 15 years. And then in between that time, '93, the only reason the public knows is because that guy pulled that deformed fucking fish out of that.
But the
fucking
only
creek.
solution is to pay people for their property and to depopulate the area. I mean, what are they going to do if it's all in the air and all in the dirt?
Yeah, that's what they're just literally buying up land and
Well, and that's the
fencing it
thing.
off.
These people can't afford to move out.
No,
I
God,
mean,
no.
If you've ever been at, nothing against Anniston, Alabama, but like, you
It's
know,
poor.
I
I mean,
come from
it's-
a place a lot like Anniston. It's like, man, if you go to the average person on the street and say, hey, we're going to give you 30 grand for your house, which is probably an overestimate on a lot of those houses,
Still not.
you can't, what are you going to do? You know? So,
They'll take the 30 grand and move and not question anything. Yeah.
but
I
what's
don't
it going
blame
to do
them.
for you? You
Yeah,
know, like,
nothing.
so, every time I find a comment, like, I did so much research for this podcast, and like every time I Google something else comes up that I haven't seen. And every quote
Please,
I've seen,
tell us more. Like, there's so much shit. Please tell us
every quote that I've seen by Monsanto in the last 15 or 14 years since the lawsuits kind of went through in 2003.
Yeah.
Everything I've seen is just like these guys know they're protected by the government. Like they know that they're not going over. So this executive from Solutia, conveniently formed when the lawsuit started mounting and Monsanto wanted to protect itself, said, did we do some things we wouldn't do today? Of course, but that's a little piece of a big story. If you put it all in context, I think we've got nothing to be ashamed about.
Good Lord.
It's like these guys are coming out like, please try to arrest me. They obviously know that with the words that they're saying are
It's like when Trump said he could shoot someone in Times Square and, like, in his opinion rating wouldn't go fucking down. Like,
No.
Monsanto could do whatever the fuck they want.
So apparently, academia.
Academy
whatever.
with an I.
Academic.
Whatever.
Yeah, the Blackwater group. Yeah.
Former Blackwater
Yeah.
was bought. And they wouldn't name their buyer.
It's Monsanto. Everything's done in house.
You gotta be fucking kidding
It's
me. No way.
Monsanto.
No.
No, it's not.
So
Is
we
it?
didn't.
No. Time out. No. I
we
want all this
don't
clear.
use Blackwater. We
No,
just are Blackwater.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Time out.
the Saudi
time out.
government.
Okay, look, I'm a little slow. I just want to make sure that you just said that it's Monsanto bought out Academi.
Allegedly. But there's a lot of
I'm
facts.
alleging.
We'd have okay. So we'd have to dig through the tax records and be like, oh, but it's probably some shell corporation.
But they don't.
Good
They don't.
luck
They
on
don't.
that.
They don't have to like tell people who bought them. But like apparently, southweb.org leaked
out.
some shit.
And they're saying that
Yeah.
everyone's thinking that it's Monsanto that bought them.
It would make sense.
Because when we talk
Say
about
it's not.
when we get into our Iraq War episode, when we do our
Kinda
Iraq War
cool,
episode, we'll
I
talk about
guess.
Blackwater and Academi, how they're like banned they were banned in Iraq, and Academi could operate in Afghanistan or some bullshit. And then Will, you get that big old smile on your face. No,
I'll tell you, if you believe they didn't do anything wrong, then I have a bridge in Fallujah to sell you.
Does Mathis come with it?
Wait. Is Bridge in Fallujah? Is that like the
Yeah,
Middle E-
Google it.
Google it.
Is that like the Middle Eastern version of a oceanfront property in Arizona?
No. Google Fallujah Bridge incident, and yeah, we're gonna get into that. Hopefully by the end of the month, we'll have.
But when
we'll
will
have
we get
one
into,
guest on here for sure, and then hopefully another special guest. Fingers
when do we get
crossed,
into the
it'd be
George
great.
Strait though?
What's is
Whack.
whack?
I'm just kidding.
Fuck you guys.
It was like when you came and watched me play at Carl's Country, and you were like, dude, play some David Allen Coe. I was like, she just want me to get up there, play 3 chords and yell out racial slurs the entire time.
Hey, now let's backtrack. Now, I won't say anything about the racial slurs because that's for sure true.
Yeah.
But
Hold up now, I'll tell you what.
learning David Allen Coe songs, he had a lot of, it wasn't just a 1-4-5 in there.
Yeah.
He was working.
It was more than 3 chords.
I mean, have
man.
you ever played He Never Even Called Me by my name?
Don't tread on the mysterious rhinestone cowboy
Hello, darling.
unless you're
Nice
gonna
to see
critique
ya.
his racial shit. Then I'll give you that.
Been
but
a long time.
whoa.
I know it's Kanye Twin.
That's
I was
Conway
about to
Twitty.
say that's Daddy Conway.
I know, man.
My
Fucking
grandma
herb.
has a
His
crush on
hair
him.
was
My
great.
grandma has a framed picture of Conway Twitty in her
Dude,
house.
everyone should have a frame picture of Conway, like Jesus. It should be Jesus, and Conway Twitty, and Baby Yoda. Like everyone.
How
should have
about
that on a man.
Jesus? How about Jesus and Kanye Twitty?
Hot take, Kanye. I like Kanye Twitty, but a hot take. Fuck Conway Twitty.
Whoa,
Bro, it's the fucking 1970s.
I don't like.
His hair looked like Syl from The Sopranos.
You know what?
That was the most awkward fist
I've
pound
said
ever.
forever, but on the same token, I'll get to this point. Conway Twitty is the Luke Bryan of the 70s, like you said. Why do you like George Strait then, bro?
Amarillo
he's-
by morning.
Written by Dean Dillon.
I don't care that he
He's
didn't
got
write it.
61 number ones, 0 written by
Oh, yeah,
him. That's all I'm saying.
He's wrote like 2 or 3 songs, all fucking trash. But the dude has a fucking voice. And plus, my dad was big in the rodeo, so
And
like,
you know who
I
played
mean,
them
I
all?
understand.
I've got a really,
You know what I'm
I've
saying?
got a really big
I don't
soft
fight.
spot.
I don't fight the George Strait fight anymore because I just hate him so much
You
that
know
I
who
feel like
financed all those country music singers?
But
Monsanto.
who's the real King George? And that would be the one, the only. the fucking possum.
The
George
man
Jones.
who drove his John Deere long tractor up to the liquor store.
Yeah.
She took my truck keys. She forgot about my old John Deere.
I think everyone's seen.
I'm
that
just saying,
fucking video.
there's a portrait now. A liquor store is being sued in Nashville because there's a portrait of George Jones driving a lawnmower to the liquor store on the side of it.
Oh my God.
And his wife is suing the liquor store because she said that's not the embodiment of what he represented. And everybody's like, that's like the crowning achievement in his life. That happened, and he was like, okay. Hate to get off topic, but if you want to talk country, I'll talk for hours.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, let's keep it going. Nelson's gone.
I'm not gone. I'm coming right back.
No, Nelson's gone.
It's hijacked.
Hi, Nelson.
We're without our fearless leader.
All right, so guys,
Nelson
I want
had
y'all to know
a,
this is actually a corporate takeover. I am a representative of Monsanto.
Where are all these Blackwater guards coming from?
Is that a herky bird I hear outside?
Nelson, are you back from your Adam Waffen meeting?
Whoa! Listen, all right. Whoa. Okay.
You're Italian.
Hold on.
You're born
you
fascist.
You can call me whatever you want, but don't call me those fascist sexist shit. Autumn waffin jackasses.
I mean, is that really worse than being folk punk? I
I don't
like
think
pushing
Autumn
buttons.
Waffen can't pull off a milk crate.
No.
Anyway, fuck Autumn Waffen. Those
Yeah, fuck
fucking
Adam
Nazis,
Waffen.
Fuck. Ugh.
Getting back on the old Monsanto discussion,
Because you know what, Mussolini might have been Italian, but we also did, put a bullet in his head.
Is Monsanto Italian?
Oh,
I would hope so.
Whoa, Tone, calm down there. All right,
Hey, we had Columbus.
that better not be Columbus.
We had Monsanto.
That was a great scene.
They
with
make the tomatoes for the red sauce.
the gravy.
The gravy.
The outside that deli, whatever, they're sitting there and talking. They're like, "Oh, Columbus, it's anti-Italian prejudice." And Fio's like, "Fuck Columbus," and he like goes into the
Because he's from Genoa.
Oh yeah, the North. And he's like, "I hate the North. They hate it." And they're like, "Whoa, what are you talking about?" It's like goes this like great thing, like how the Sopranos crew, they try to be like all Italian and whatnot, but they have like no idea like of mainland Italian culture and like why certain people hate each other, etc. I just found that interesting.
My favorite is when they go to Italy and Paulie asks for the more. He's like,
Wait,
"Hey, where's the
gravy?"
gravy?" And he says to Italian, the other Italians, he's like, "At least the Germans' beer is good. Their food is shit, but the Americans have no culture at all."
What the fuck do I know, Tom?
Forgive me, but I was watching a BuzzFeed video where actual Italians were, the like Jersey, New York pronunciation of Italian words like rigotte pie and shit like
Oh my God, gabagool.
These Italians were like they were showing them clips of like mainly The Sopranos where they were mispronouncing Italian words and they're like, "Yeah, we don't say that." These people are posers.
The fucking Genovese fucking mafia family's gonna come in and whack us all here in a second. But
That's if Blackwater done fucking
You
storm
get too close to
Yeah,
the truth.
Blackwater's getting here first, bro.
no, what do I say? It was like, imagine if they like relaunched The Sopranos like today, and it's like fucking because you know how the fucking what was it that guy whacked Callie thinking that he was part of the deep state.
Frank Callie.
Right? So he's like, Christopher's like, "Hey, Tone, one I should whack this QAnon." And Tone's like, "Shut the fuck up, Christopher. You don't know how far the deep state goes."
Anthony Jr., get off your iPad and go do your Common Core.
What did you say? Anthony spent all his yeet bucks on a cam girl's bathwater.
Ma, I gotta get more feet pics. I need some
What the fuck
V-Bucks
do I
on
know,
Fortnite.
Tony? I need some V-Bucks on Fortnite. Someone was like on some Sopranos group I'm in on, was like, what's some scene you would have liked to have seen that they didn't happen? Everyone was like, "We want to see Tony get shot." I'm like, all right, it's really original.
See
That
Meadow
was-
bring home a trans man.
Oh my God, Tony's fucking reaction to that, dude. That was so fucking horrible. His reaction to when she had
Hey,
the
yo,
black,
what's your background?
Oh my God, she had the black boyfriend. I was like, I have to be reminded that fucking Italian Americans in the Northeast are just racist sacks of shit.
They called him a burnt one.
Yeah, it was
he
just
said
so
the word.
fucked up.
He said the word and he said it means a burnt one.
Yeah, it was just so stupid shit. And I was
I've
like,
never
ugh.
seen Sopranos.
No, but the thing was
What?
Yeah.
Whoa. No, the one I said was like, I think the Russian just should have showed up in some random scene and no one caught it. That would have been great.
Yeah.
Oh man. Anyway, we're getting way
But
off
I grew
track.
up poor, so like HBO was a thing you had like twice a year when it
Oh
was
no,
free.
man! I just rip it off Reddit. You know what I mean?
I just watched it recently for the first time. My uncle looks
I'll
like
give you
Pussy
my
Bob and
HBO
Sarah.
Go password, homie.
I got my baby mamas somewhere.
Hell yeah. Hey, Tone, I think I feel it now in my inner ear.
That and Barry, bro. Watch Barry too.
Barry.
It's Bill Hader.
Oh, I like him.
The
Oh, it's a
bottle
good
tip.
show.
You got any beer left in that bottle? Just
Oh no, sir. I'll just kick it every now
what
and then.
So what else you got about Monsanto?
Okay,
Now
I
that we've
mean-
like gone completely off the rails and almost crashed and burned.
So
we brought it
basically,
back.
Silvio comes into Monsanto's board meeting. No,
It's like, Tone, I don't want to say anything, but these PCBs, they're bad.
They're looking pretty bad, Tone.
the PCBs.
We can't just dump them. We just can't dump them in the swamp no more, Tone.
When I was in the army
When I was in the army,
at Fort McClellan
The Branzino has 3 eyes.
in the
3
biochemical
eyes.
division,
shut the fuck up, Paulie.
They sent him down to Anniston. What can I say? He's in Snow Creek.
Oh my god.
And now I have to turn my back on you.
So I mean, at this moment, I'm just like I've abandoned the notes, and I'm just looking at all these. It's basically just quotes in the court case and outside of the court case in confidential memos. I've pulled up a very good resource here. It's for the listener. It's Common Dreams Incorporated, and basically, I mean, it's all these quotes from the court proceedings. The evidence regarding PCB effects on environmental quality is sufficiently substantial, widespread, and alarming to require immediate corrective action. Is what the plaintiffs accused, and a memo labeled confidential from Monsanto at the time that the proceedings were going on said each letter was underlined twice. The company was thinking about limiting releases of arrow colors, which I guess are PCBs, but the memo did not go so far as to propose a cleanup. They said they want to only do the preparatory and the actions preparatory to actual cleanup to appear that they were cleaning up. This is a memo sent in like '97.
Jesus.
You know,
Damn.
like I mean, at every turn, these guys like it seems that they were extending the olive branch, and I don't know what they've got going on with the government, where the government's just letting them skate by with all this. But I mean, they're literally
They fund these campaigns. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is like they use
It's a big-
dark money to fund these campaigns through super PACs.
And I mean,
let them
obviously,
do whatever they want.
historically, they're creating things for the armed forces as well when we're fighting wars.
Yeah.
I would be interested to see if they're making anything now.
I'm sure hand in glove still.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, I wonder if that is public information or if that's only going to be released in like 50 or 75 years. You know, when
I just
we're all dead.
came to a terrible realization that I am.
When you trailed off and said I just came, I was wondering where that was going.
I'm feeding my animals a Monsanto product.
What is it?
A soybean meal that I used to cut my corn with.
Where?
It's just a easy, like it's not like a cheap filler, but it's like
Yeah.
it there's no additives.
Yeah. No, I do want to make a point, because when we start in like left book groups and like anything on Facebook comments, like when Monsanto and this whole thing was blowing up with the whole GMOs and stuff coming, like you have like people on the left and right diving into these conspiracies that like GMOs, et cetera, et cetera. I think the research for genetically modified foods is
Super thin.
I mean, yeah, but they do have good, like the GMO
Oh, yeah.
crops can be like it done properly or benefit humanity. The problem is
that's
Monsanto.
what I'm saying. The research is thin against GMOs.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you know, like it's all, and that's what I try to stay away from in the Monsanto conversation is like conspiracy guys who are like, oh, the GMOs. It's like, well, dude, we
They
don't
just
know.
want a better.
You
They
can-
just want a better product to
they
make more
want,
money.
They want a
Yeah.
product where they can spray Roundup on it and not die.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah,
what I
that-
mean.
I mean-
They want it to be famine proof. They want it to be like drought proof.
Yeah, and then you also have rice that they've like genetically modified that like with more nutrients for places in the country that need.
I mean, if you want
Like
to end
more
world
food,
hunger,
yeah.
you have
And
to
then-
do something.
Yeah.
More
So
crops,
progress
they
isn't
grow
always-
faster.
Exactly.
Right.
GMOs are helping with like the fucking.
You get more yield for less
Yeah.
space.
It's
you know?
almost like when you argue against a certain conspiracy, like if you're arguing against a whole section and you're trying to hound this one
Yeah.
conspiracy, you're doing
Unnecessary
more
evil.
harm than you are doing.
It's like
good,
it's
right?
like I put the people who like don't like GMOs in the same category as like
Anti-vaxxers.
Yeah,
Right.
anti-vaxxers.
But
yeah.
because it's science, and you just want to keep science separate from like
And
capital,
these scientists
right?
are saying, well,
Yeah.
like, it doesn't appear that we're having any adverse effects. Please don't think that we are. Like, and I think the GMO scare really, I mean, not to like reach for a conspiracy or anything, but I you know, right around the time GMOs were becoming like the thing where like, I don't want to eat GMOs. Organic foods started being pushed really
Yeah.
hard,
And that's just
the
bullshit.
word organic is a
bullshit.
clickbait word.
Oh, yeah.
It's a clickbait word like
We're
anything
GMO
else.
free, so you're just gonna charge me $5 more for a product that was $10 cheaper like
Yeah,
last week.
yeah.
They're
And
more
so-
likely to get back to diseases from because they grow
That's
it with
even less
organic
money.
fertilizer.
I think people in marketing firms are like, well, let's look on Google at what people are scared of today. And
What are
start
white
marketing
hipsters like
against it.
really afraid of?
Yeah.
Oh, genetically modified foods. It's marketed to
Yeah.
this bullshit.
If
Yeah, like somebody
Because poor
said,
people don't give poor people are not going to be able to buy organic because it's fucking expensive.
No,
Like,
right.
I'm not going to Whole Foods. I can't afford
the
that.
concern
I
is
can't
never
afford that
poor
shit.
people. It's never poor people of any color. The concern is white rich people. That is
Yeah.
proven throughout history. Like
Poor folks going to Walmart and getting great value. They don't give a shit. Like
That's what's so
Yeah.
that's
sinister
the only
about
thing you can
copyright.
afford.
my
Writing a
fridge
plant.
and my cupboards are full of great value, and
Yeah.
I don't care if those jalapeno poppers give me cancer 60 years
Yeah.
from now. I'm eating them today.
who gives a fuck? I want a seedless watermelon in December.
Come on, with it.
God, God be damned.
See, I'm safe from that because I have hay fever, dude. I'm allergic to watermelon. I can't. Well, I can eat it, but it makes it very unpleasant.
Hot take. I've never been a fan of watermelon.
It's really
like the
messed
the
up to
Jolly
become
Ranchers of
allergic
any
to something
watermelon.
that you love.
Damn.
I love watermelon. I love cantaloupe. I can't eat anything with a rind. It messes my throat up, and like I just like scratch it until I get ulcers on it and stuff.
I'll pray for you.
Oh, dude. Summer's really hard because Betsy's mom always buys watermelon and cuts them up, and I'm like, I can eat it this one time, and then I'm like in bed, like,
You just like, give me the EpiPen. I need the EpiPen.
You put salt on the watermelon?
absolutely not.
What?
Nah.
It's like people put sugar in their fucking
No,
grits,
sir.
dude. That's disgusting.
No,
You can't
no,
put
no.
things on things
Fucking
that are perfect already.
Tahine. Tahine. It's like
Oh,
this
yeah, you're the
fucking
chef.
spicy.
It's like the
tamarind
people who
seasoning.
ask for yum yum sauce at the sushi restaurant. You like, if it's, come on now,
I like it.
Like my dish.
not on raw sushi.
I mean,
man.
okay,
Like,
yeah,
come
good.
on
Okay,
now.
yeah, no, yeah, no. Oh, exactly. Good point. Good point.
Like, my wife does that. She's like, "Can I get some yum yum sauce?" And like the girl looks at her like this.
A single tear comes down. Like
She's like, "My
outrageous.
culture is being absolutely bastardized right now."
My
This
American
fucking gaijin.
tum tum.
Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift reference. Is that where we-
No. One of Anthony Bourdain's books.
Okay. Yeah, there's a
R.I.P.
scene. There's a scene in Tokyo Drift where the girl's like, "I'm a gaijin. I'm an outsider, but they accepted me, and now you're the gaijin." That's where I learned my
What
little
Fast
bit
and Furious movie? Is it 8? Have they finally finished that shit? Paul Walker's dead, man, and the franchise.
Man, they're grasping. I mean, I heard that The Rock is like the main character now or something. And I'm like, what's
I
that
think he goes
dude?
by
The
Dwayne
bald
Johnson
English
nowadays. Fucking
Jason Statham. No.
guy. Yeah.
Crank guy.
No,
Yeah.
yeah,
Jason
Jason
Statham,
Statham. And then
Statham.
Vin Diesel. Apparently none of those people get along. When you're making hundreds of millions of dollars, like
Well, when you have that much fucking steroids and testosterone in one room,
I'm telling you. Can you smell what The Rock is cooking? Because it is anabolic steroids.
Yep.
It's cooking. No, you're wrong. NXT. is good.
Humble
I'm watching AEW.
pie.
Anything else on Monsanto before we devolve into God knows what?
I mean, man, I could literally go forever just reading these quotes. I mean, and they're
Do you have
all
anything that
equally.
you have a good conclusion one to end on that just sums up how fucking evil they are?
So basically, when I was watching the documentaries, restudying for all this, everybody's passing the buck, and I think the main point that we're missing here is like beyond the judification of the legal battles or the jargon or the tiptoeing around the subject or anything like that. People were wronged, and it's not like the company's going to get in trouble. Like what? They're not going to go bankrupt paying for this or whatever. Like there's no amount of money that can.
Yeah, $700 million is a drop in the bucket.
They
to
don't give a
Monsanto. And they're
shit.
still
Like, they don't
here.
care.
They don't give a shit.
and now that they've merged with fucking Zyklon B, I mean,
Dude,
Jesus
and that's what
God.
when industrialization was happening and we were worried about companies that were controlling an entire market, like monopolies and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I think what we're going to notice, 50 or 60 or 100 years from now is that our problem with our, because America's been in a period of industrialization since that point. We've never stopped growing. There's never a period where we're like, oh, well, nothing's happened technologically in the last 5 years. Everything is always advancing. I think what we're going to find years from now, maybe even when we're dead, is that companies are no longer monopolies. They're just unkillable. You can't kill
They
the.
just all own
It's
each
not that they.
Yeah.
It's not that they control a whole market. It's that they are just. They're so spread out over every
yeah.
market.
Well, you hit a nerve there because they talk about when Standard Oil Company, the trust was busted, right? When the antitrust laws came
Sherman
into place.
antitrust.
Yeah,
Is that what it's like?
so when Standard Oil was busted, right, and it had to break up into multiple different oil companies, guess who owned like a good share of all individual companies? Rockefeller. They said that he made more money after they busted Standard Oil.
Umbrellaing, yeah.
And that's what's going to happen.
That's
here.
what
It's
they
like-
teach you in business
But you
school,
see
man.
that you
Umbrellas,
see that thing. You see
diversity.
that meme on Facebook going around how like 5 different corporations, it's spiders
Pfizer, Unilever,
own all this shit.
Pfizer, Unilever, Bayer. I mean, and that's what I'm saying is I think the phenomenon, because you never, like I said earlier, you never know when something's going on until you can look at it in hindsight. You know, I think that rings very true that like the mass of people don't know that something wrong was happening until it's too late and until it's already been either dealt with or it's controlled everything.
Or everybody's dead.
Or everybody's dead. And so like, or everybody, you know, that was involved in it is dead. And so like, monopolies were the thing where we were like, well, these businesses are buying out companies, and we could obviously see that. When you can't regulate a business to not buy into every company it can, in a small part, and so I think what we're going to notice, you know, a long time from now, or maybe not very soon, who knows, is that these companies that have umbrellaed out and become unkillable because if you shut down a whole part of their business, they've got 100 other businesses that they're got their toes in and that they're invested in and they're controlling interest.
As long as they give us like an illusion of choice under capitalism, it's like that illusion.
You have to be tricked into thinking that you're free.
You have to be tricked into thinking you can buy something that's not that's different than something. It's like they say there's like you have 8 different brands of fucking Captain Crunch, like
right?
Yeah,
it's all the same
hey,
thing.
Fruity Dino Bites, homie.
Roll
The,
Tide.
the marshmallow Captain Crunch at Walmart. Let's
Oops,
go.
all berries is the result of an industrial accident.
I've got
All
750 berries per bag.
You know
the
who
normal
makes that?
rate is 46 berries per bag.
You know who makes Oops All Berries? Monsanto.
He's got his phone out. He's not lying.
No, I'm just kidding. It ties it all back together. Oops All Berries was made from PCBs. It was made by Monsanto.
Let's eat.
So they found the fish and it was full of these berries.
There was a tag that said "Oops, all berries." We have no idea what that means.
Give it to the children. But I mean,
Gotta have your sugary cereals
It
in the
was
morning.
so chock full of PCBs that when they nailed it to the wall, it started singing.
He's talking about the Billy Big Mouth Bass.
Everybody's grandparent had at least one of those.
I want to live,
I
live,
pulled
live.
this bass out of the Snow Creek, and the motherfucker started
He
singing.
started singing. He came with a plaque already.
He sounds
It said provided by Monsanto. Sorry.
he sounds just like Jeff Foxworthy. What the fuck?
The fish came out singing Conway Twitch.
You might have cancer if.
Oh my god!
All right, well,
All right, y'all.
is there a solution to
Yes,
this?
Tyler. You are, like, I really want to end every podcast with you asking, like, is it because that needs to be.
Is
Like,
the-
what do we say? Will's thing. was gonna
Darkly,
be?
no. I mean, no, there's
Yeah,
not.
Tyler, yeah. Obviously, what can we do to Tyler's question? What can we do to? There's nothing. Overthrow capitalism. Overthrow the government. That's what would happen.
Kill the rich, redistribute the
damage
wealth.
that- the
Yeah, I would
damage
say
this
burn down
gun's already
Monsanto,
done,
but who
man.
knows what that would release.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
damage.
No, we go in there with guns.
They own Blackwater.
What you have to focus. Yeah, first off, they have military. The thing you have to realize is that these people that have been affected have already been affected, and they will be affected forever.
Forever.
I mean, they're treating these PCBs. When I'm reading facts on them, they're treating them like radioactive material. They're talking about the half-life of these things
Yeah.
dying out in
Yeah.
like thousands of years. There's nothing.
These people's
that can be done.
great-grandchildren will be affected by this.
There's
yeah.
nothing. There's nothing. The people's grandchildren's great grandchildren.
Children, yeah.
Like there's nothing that can be done in foreseeable history unless something is made to eradicate. Like you can put in the soil that you can soak into it with sprinklers or whatever that will kill it. But who knows what that chemical is going to do to
Because
you?
they
You
said
know?
it's still
You
releasing.
just got to
everything
move
there.
people. You just got to pay people to move.
I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, and that's the thing is like
Redneck
Alabama's
Chernobyl.
already riddled by ghost towns from
God, yeah.
from companies moving or mines moving or whatever. Where my grandparents live, there's like used to be a mine town, and like there's like nobody there now. They know every one of their neighbors for like miles because the mine doesn't exist there anymore. It's the same thing with Anniston. Is I think these companies come in. And they don't really care what happens to the town. You have all kind of towns across America that used to be, company towns. You've got all these 100-year-old houses that were built that were like, worker houses that are shotgun houses. They tear them down after 100 years and they build a park and a couple Starbuckses and put some $1 million houses there. Like, I think there's no solution to the damage that's done. And what the lesson we need to learn from this incident is that you have to have a checks and balances with industry. And what that means, nobody knows, man. Nobody has these answers. And only through do y'all?
Yeah, it's
Seize the fucking means of production.
Shut this shit down. I mean, that's the whole idea.
I guess my point is that you don't know what chemical is going to kill people until it kills people.
Oh yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, invention breeds, inspiration, but it
I would
also
hope.
breeds.
I would hope that that would
Stronger
be true.
regulations, more testing,
Yeah.
and just don't let your fucking ignorance and greed cause generations
Because
and
they
generations.
stopped this in '38 when they found out that it
They
caused
probably
cancer.
would have been able to control it.
Yeah.
They would have
But
been
I
able to
mean, you
control
got to look.
Instead
Wasn't
of-
it
instead of-
66 where they said that it would be a global widespread?
Yeah, they knew. Yeah.
And that was only 20 or 30 years. I mean, dude, like,
So between
you don't
38,
have.
they know, and 79 when the government's like, you can't make this shit anymore. Like they knew that it caused problems,
Right.
And they could have shut it down. They just didn't want to because of greed, because of capitalism.
and it was such a good product apparently for what
Yeah.
it was meant for as far as anti-flammability.
It's the same thing with DDT and with Agent Orange or all that shit. They're like, oh, it does the job.
Let's revisit the fact that Monsanto has the best abbreviations ever, though. DDT, PCB. I mean, Agent Orange sounds like a really nice, like, soft drink you'd buy
Great
at the
band.
Piggly Wiggly.
Yeah, great band.
Agent Blue, the Raspberry, Agent Orange. But no, I mean, it's just like you're not gonna. Hindsight's 2020. Obviously, the beginning of this was not malice. Like these people didn't intend to kill people, but when they realized that they should have stopped doing it,
They didn't.
and they didn't. Like
Yeah.
because of profits, they cannot lose
Exactly,
$1.
yeah.
That's a quote that really sticks out for the whole story on me. Is like, and that's one I had not heard up until this day. Is that we cannot lose $1 fixing this problem.
So they'd rather have a bunch of people, like a whole town, 24,000 people become infected and people die than lose
Well, I'm sure it's
$1.
more now. Actually,
Oh,
now,
God,
I
yeah.
would love. Well, let's look that up. That's a Googleable thing.
That's how many people have died because of this?
Well, no, how many people live in Anniston now?
All right, how many people live in Anniston
Yeah.
now? I wonder if it's more or less than 2003.
70,000. That's my guess.
What is it?
21,770. So it's
Damn.
fluctuated.
It went
It's
down,
went down 3,000 people since 2003 when they did the documentary.
Damn.
Less than 3,000, and that's what that further contributes to the fact that number one, Monsanto's probably not trying to buy these properties back at this point.
No.
And number two,
Yeah, they're not even funding the
these
clinic
people
anymore, so
have
they don't give a
literally no money to move out. They don't. There's no. And the thing about it is, this water has PCBs in it. The ground has PCBs, and what happens? It spreads. It's never going to stop spreading until something's done about it.
Just dilutes.
It's going to dilute, and it'll be less and less, but it'll be over a greater
Yeah.
expanse of land. There's nothing you can do.
Profits
for that.
over people. That's all they fucking care about.
It's going to
Nelson-
take a person a lot smarter than any of us to figure out how to eradicate that in the soil, or to at least stop it
Oh,
from
yeah.
going outside.
Exactly.
But in my opinion, I mean, who
Right
what are
now.
you supposed?
that
I mean, in
person's
one of the
being-
documentaries, a guy was like, "You are breathing in PCBs right
Mm-hmm.
now as you are sitting here interviewing me. What are you ever going to do to stop that?"
True. Well, Blake, on behalf of the show, really thank you for coming on. You're our first guest.
Yeah.
And, this is the first time we've, quote unquote, I guess, interviewed somebody who had a guest on talk about a topic that I had no idea about. Now I know.
Thank you.
Hey,
Blake.
real quick
appreciate it,
though.
Break.
Well, you haven't had much to say. Say some wild shit real quick. Say something wild.
No, I can't.
No,
I
trust
can't.
me, Will's going to be saying wild shit with that Iraq episode.
I appreciate y'all having me. I'm glad that we talked about this at brunch the other day. I've always wanted to talk about it on some other platform other than a school paper that I got to be on because my teacher
What'd you
said
get
that
for
I was
brunch?
not analytical enough. Oh, crabby
You
eggs.
get crabby eggs? I like the Creole eggs, man. The Creole eggs are legit.
With that
Anyway.
Crawfish versus crab cakes.
Anyway,
that's
y'all.
next episode.
That being said, at Dixieland, the proletariat, we believe the South will rise again, but this time for the right reasons, those being workers-owned means of production, decolonization, and self-determination for all oppressed peoples. We are coming to you from the heart of Dixie, Montgomery, Alabama. We'd also like to recognize that we're recording on occupied land that rightfully belongs to the Muskogee people and their nation. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Thanks for helping the page grow on Facebook. We're at 22,000 likes. We have about 250.
22,000?
No, I mean, not, wow, 2,200. My bad. God, I wish it was 22,000. It was 2,200. We have about 240, 250 downloads when it comes to.
It's been 3 episodes now. Right?
Yeah, this
awesome.
is for 2 episodes we got that, so this is gonna be a third.
Hell yeah.
We got hopefully some good things in the works. Talking to some other podcasts. Shout out to Leftist Trucker Praxis. They're helping us out, spreading the word, and hopefully we have some good news for y'all in the future. Hopefully, gonna do 2 more shows this month, and then really hit the ground running with some stuff the new year. Like I said, we want to do a massive 4-part episode on the Civil War. We're talking about going to Andersonville Prison. It's a notorious Confederate POW prison in Andersonville, Georgia, and getting some research on that and really, really digging into the real meaning behind the Civil War, which everyone knows is about slavery, and really trying to dispel that myth of the lost cause. So thanks for tuning in, y'all. And until next time, this is Dixieland the Proletariat. Y'all have a good one.
Yeehaw.